So you now know in the process that, all right, head of research is important. How did you find out about the other members of the decision-making unit?
They basically invited these people to our meeting. For example, after head of research get very comfortable, then they told me, hey, actually we hired a bunch of consultants. Do you want to speak with them? They can give you some feedback as well. So that's how we get introduced to consultants. And existing vendor as well, it's like, oh, we also use similar service from this professor and this great company, and maybe you guys can find some synergy. Please talk about it. So that's how we got into these consultants. And once we finish all this process, the last process was the department who has veto power, essentially purchasing and legal.
So it sounds like, Bill, the process of identifying a DMU is not a random walk. You shouldn't worry that it's going to be. If you feel like you are solving the problem and you're finding that champion, the end user, the path will lead you to the right people you'll need to know along the way.
I think that's very fair, and you've seen Jan. You know, the more progress he made, it's like you're peeling, an onion back. The more you're seeing as you go along here, and so that's absolutely right, and that means you're making progress as you start to see it. And then when you get to the point where you're in purchasing or legal, you're probably at a pretty good point because now you're down to veto people. But I also want to point out here that's really important in this how is, if you notice Jan very, understated, very, calm about this. You can't go in and tell people how to run their business. You have to be very, like a journalist, inquiry mode, asking them, what is it, what is it? Yes, 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 yes. And that's important when you're going through this. Even if you know it, you've still got to validate it, but you've got to do it in a very, I'm going to say polite way, but a empathetic way with the customer. Because anytime they feel like you're telling them how to run their business, you're going to get a lot of pushback. Mm-hmm. So you can see Jan's kind of skill here in this. That's very, very important.
So throughout this process, Jan, what did you find to be most difficult?
I think in the very beginning, we didn't think head of research is very important. And we thought it's just another gatekeeper and we can pitch our solution easily. But actually, that entire process took us more than 1 month. And actually, before that, we never deal with real researcher, which means we also need to make our methodology much better to really convince them to use our product. So I would say that's really difficult because I'm not a researcher. So I need to learn new knowledge. And also, our expectation was 1 meeting with head of research can solve the issue, but actually it took us more than 1 month. So that was really tough for us.
And it's very similar to the persona development for the customer.
Right.
You do the persona development for all the people in the DMU, and the more people you can get on your side, the more information you're going to have flowing into you. Now, we talked about the veto power of a legal or something, that you just want to neutralize them. But you also, if they become your friend, they might also tell you important information that you might want to know that will help you to win other people in the DMU over. So you're always looking for sources of information to update, to confirm, to refine your perception on it.
That's exactly correct, because for legal department, in the very beginning, our user agreement really sucks. It's like basically a document created by me. Of course, I have no legal knowledge, so it's like it really looks bad. But once we become a bit more friendly with legal department, actually they give us a lot of hint on how to improve it.
Great.
And that give us, because even our law firm, like they're good at legal, but they're not very good at in this specific context, media, advertising context. So with help of our client's legal department, we can really improve our user agreement and to make sure our user agreement can really help us to protect our personal information and are not going to violate any laws. That's really important for us.
And I think that raises another interesting point, Jan, or interesting question is, who did the work to go out and get define the DMU? Presumably it was you, right? Was there other people in the organization?
Basically, I and my co-founder. But we basically, after each meeting, we come back to our meeting room. Then we try to figure out, okay, so it seems that there are 5 people in that meeting. Who's who? and what's the relationship with each people, and we try to map it out. And each time we get better understanding about DMU.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing. There are certain things in a company you can offload to other people. You might offload your accounting to somebody else. You might offload even some development at some point to somebody else. But understanding the DMU is something that the founders really need to understand.
Yeah.
And you need to roll up your sleeves and get involved in that. You can't download your eyes and ears in this. The other person in the organization that I found very helpful in this are very experienced salespeople. They have a sixth sense to figure out, who are the people in the room, and to just go up and speak to them. But you can't depend just on them. You have to do it as well. Do you have any salespeople on your team?
Actually, because both me and my co-founder, we only have a little bit sales experience, so we hired 2 executive sales representatives to help us. So we just asked them to basically attend the meeting together with us.
Right.
And after the meeting, we do debrief. So we understand, because they understand much better about DMU at each organization, so they help us to translate our client language into the language we can understand. So that's what's tremendous.
Right. They understand this. This is a successful recipe that's been out there for a while. So good salespeople can really help you. But you don't send them out there to do it by themselves. You have to be involved in the process as an entrepreneur.